I'm Patrick Murphy-Racy, a Sony artisan of imagery. I'm a sponsored photographer by Sony, but I'm not an employee, so I'm free to say whatever I want to. If you find the contents of this video valuable, I would ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can continue to do more of this. First of all, real-time tracking is a relatively new thing for Sony. It's only available in the A6400, the A9. The older cameras don't have processors fast enough in order to do all the computational heavy lifting that's required when real-time tracking is active. So sadly, if you have an A7R2 or an A7II or A6000, A6300, those cameras are probably not going to get the update because it can't think that fast. This video is primarily about real-time tracking for sports photography specifically. And what I've done is I've done a NASCAR race, I've done a little tennis match, I did some high school soccer in the rain, and I did an Alliance Pro football game, the last one that ever happened of the Alliance football in Birmingham, Alabama. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk through various sections while we're going to edit pictures live, and you'll be able to see kind of what I'm doing one sport at a time. We're going to start with NASCAR, and we're going to do that one first. So here we go into NASCAR. Welcome to NASCAR. This is Bristol Motor Speedway, the last great Coliseum they call it. I'm standing in the winner's circle, which is kind of appropriate because I'm shooting Sony. Today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking carefully at how real-time tracking works for auto racing. I think and suspect it's going to work very well because the movement of auto racing is so fluid. I think it's going to work great. So we're going to try that today. I'm going to be probably starting out with tracking on, and I'll be on small, flexible spot. And that will let me pick a car out of a crowd and only shoot that one car. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing today is experimenting with that, and I'll obviously be putting up pictures and showing you on the rest of this video how I did. What I wanted to do is just show you the very first position that I shot from. This is the G12 to 24 f4 lens, which I love. It's really, really nice. It's sharp in the edges and it's a sweet lens. So you can see at the track at Bristol, there are like these cages. Some of them have hinged openings. Some of them are just open all the time. This one is like right down by the start-finish line, and I thought it'd be good to, just get in here. You can also see how steep this track is. The curves are really high banked, and you can see how this guy is trying to exert himself getting up there. It's pretty wild. So that's the first place I shoot from. So here, this is the 100 to 400 G Master lens on the A9. Again, to start out, my settings are tracking and then flexible spot small. So I can pick up just his face, and then I can just literally track him as he goes, and I can, once I hit him once and hold the shutter release down a little bit, I can just compose as at will, however I want to. And I really appreciate the fact that it's doing distance, and it's just separating him easily. It doesn't have any problem figuring out what's what. One of the big problems in the past is like the face detection feature is killer, but if it sees this many faces, it's going to get confused. And it's supposed to just do the one that it finds first. And it probably would do okay on this, but tracking is so much better. So now this is a good example. So I picked up this guy at a distance in the center. So he was in the center of the frame where the autofocus indicator is. I just touched lightly and then held it and then recomposed. And then it shows me, it puts the icon on his face, and I can put him way over on the right side of the frame like this, and it doesn't matter. So as he moves around, here he's in the center, and then he's way over here on the left, which is better composition. And it's just tracking him wherever he is, ignoring all these faces. It's really cool. So great freedom there. On this one, I put the autofocus indicator just on this one guy. And all these people are far away from me. I'm at 400 millimeter here. So all these people are far away, but it nailed this guy, no problem. If I zoom in, you can see how sharp it is just on his face. Here we go. It's just, there it goes. So you can see it's like right on the money. So nice. It's really, really cool. So again, you can put him, you start tracking, and here he is way in the lower right-hand corner. no problem. Here's just an overall of the melee of pre-race. This is a big stage, and they're introducing the players one by one. And after they introduce them, they come down and they get in the back of a pickup truck and ride around the course. Then they get off in the pit and then go in and go find their car. So here's the pace car out front. The race is about to begin. So you can just see I just hit the pace car on this one and just tracked it around. Now, this is the actual start of the race, and you can see this Napa car, that's Chase Elliott out front. He is the early race leader. I think he wins the first stage of the race at Bristol. And it doesn't matter where he is, because once I've told the camera that I want this car, it's just going to track that car no matter where it is in the viewfinder. So here he is coming around again, and you can see in the background here, there's a problem. And this is the M&M car driven by Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch gets pushed by this guy in the Sonny D car, and there's a problem back there. Now, I don't see it right away. It's in the background, but I'm still on the Napa car. And then I go, uh-oh, I got a problem back there. And so then I reacquire. And at this point right here, I have now got only the Skittles car. So I'm looking only at that, and I'm kind of watching him. And by the way, that's not Kyle Busch. My bad. But anyway, so now I'm tracking him, and he gets pushed around. You can see the impact damage on the Sonny D car. And this guy's still trying to go in the right direction. And they're moving. You know, he might be doing 70, 80 miles an hour at this point. He gets hit again. Now he's almost going the wrong way. So after the caution comes back, everything is back on track. We're back in the pace car out there, so we're coming out of caution. Now the pace car comes in and the race begins again. Now, one thing you'll notice on these loose shots is you got Food City 500, Bush Beans, First Tennessee Bank, Monster Energy, NASCAR Series, Alsco, Bristol Motor Speedway. These logos are pretty important. Now, they're not important for like magazine publishing or something like that, or newspaper, but they're really important for advertising. So I'm kind of watching those logos as time goes on. So here we go. This is Chase Elliott out front, Napa car. You see somebody back here has gotten down to almost in the infield. And so underway. Now, after the lead car passed me, I just at random picked this car here and just tracked right through. No problem. It just, the fluid motion of auto racing, or really, motorcycle racing, F1, it's obvious to me that it's going to work no matter what. So here's our lead car again. I picked him up way back here, and I'm shooting and I'm doing the tracking. So it's great. Here's a Sonny D car that's like in bad shape. I don't even know how that guy can see to drive the thing, but he does. He's going to end up driving this car until the next caution, and then he'll go in, and then they'll have to tape it all down and stuff. Pretty crazy. All right, so here is a good example of me. I'm watching now Chase Elliott, who is leading the race. These guys are in the very back of the pack. So he's coming about, and I've picked him up way back here, and I've done the tracking, and I've held my finger down, and it's just going to track him all the way through, even when there's other cars in the frame. It's really nice, really nice. Now here's a good example. Again, I've selected the Napa car, but this car's like in front of it, and as it comes around, it gets even worse. But it still stays in the Napa car without any issue at all. Love that. I mean, even here, where now I'm looking at chain link fence. That's what this is. All this fuzziness down here is the chain link fence. It will not let go of that car. It's so cool. So really, even here, it's just amazing. All right, so I've backed off here to 100 millimeters just so you can see a little bit more. I'm watching the leader, the race leader at this point is the Napa car. So here we go. Another good example, like, again, I'm tracking the Napa car here. All I see is a little sliver of the top. And this car is completely out of focus. This one's out of focus. This one's sharp. Amazing. Really is. Here's a 3 car. You kind of see how high the banks are. So I'm just kind of going through. So I've picked him out nice and tight here. Yeah, I like these. That's pretty good. So you can really stay in there. And even after you do that, like, it sees the driver. Now I want to make a comment here, not about the autofocus system, but about the sensor on the A9. Now, a lot of cameras wouldn't even show detail inside this car because there's probably a 7 to 8 stop difference between the exposure outside the car and the exposure inside the car. But, you know, with the A9, if I really wanted to, I could isolate this windshield and I could basically pull out that driver and still have this exposure the same. I mean, if I wanted to fool with it in Photoshop and all that stuff. Pretty cool. Okay, we're back at it. Now there's been another wreck or caution of some kind, and our race leader has now lost 3 spots. So now FedEx, these 3 cars are in the lead for right now. So we're going to track them. Here they are, just kind of coming around the track. It's so easy to do this with tracking. I mean, and I think the flexible spot small is the way to go for literally all sports, I think. I don't think I'm going to change my mind on that, having shot 4 different ones now. And, of course, 20 frames a second is pretty cool. So, as you can see here, the Craftsman guy gets in the groove. FedEx is behind. Let's see what happens next. This is kind of fun. There's like there's all this tape that they put on the tires. So there's like literally a piece of tape that's fallen off a tire, and you can actually watch it like flip up and down in the air as the air is interrupted as these cars go by. And here's Sunny D with a lot of duct tape, or in North Carolina they call it 100-mile-an-hour tape. And they're using these bungee cords to hold the hood down. Kind of cool. There we go. And here we go. Just watching. Okay, this is a good example too. So now what I've done is our new race leader is number 12, and that's Ryan Blaney in the PPG car. So I've just basically picked him up way back here someplace, and now the camera's automatically tracking him. So real-time tracking doesn't just work when you're tight. It also works when you're loose. So you can do stuff like this. And I'm going to let Blaney come down all the way to that corner of the frame, and it's not going to matter. And getting closer, and it's just tracking like crazy. Now here I did a little experiment. I go down to 1/60th of a second f9 at 100 ISO. Sorry, 100 millimeter, 50 ISO. And I'm just watching this car now. It's hard to do like the kind of stuff when they're coming at you. It's much easier to pan when cars are left to right. But I was just trying to see if I could get something different, and this actually worked pretty well. This one too. So just, trying different things. Now I'm back up to 3200th of a second, and working that Food City logo, trying to get that in there. If this guy wins the race, I've got like all these really nice pictures of Food City. You can really see how high bank the track is. It's just insane how like steep that bank is. So now this is our new leader in the PPG car, Ryan Blaney. Here's our other guy, Chase Elliott. You can see I'm working. Here's the Skittles car. Here's my second position. So my first position is like way down here, probably around there. Now I've moved around kind of into turn 1, and I'm kind of watching from here. And I'm getting, obviously different things. But I can see more of the bank, which is kind of cool. So just trying a few things from here. At this point, I did that for a while, and then I got bored, and I actually went down to the infield. So now I'm in the infield. I'm inside the infield where the pit stops are, all the pits. And this actually worked out pretty well. This is really pretty on the edge. This is 40th of a second, f22. So it's kind of crazy to try and... But these pictures are nice. And one of the things that's really cool about images where you're panning with a slow shutter speed like this is that you are really blurring the crowd, you're blurring the speedway, you're blurring everything, and you're simplifying, and you're saying, hey, I want you to look only at here. Whatever's sharp is all I want you to see. And this is it's a nice way to work. Now I've gone up to more reasonable 200th of a second, f10 at ISO 50. And here's where you can really get consistent results. you know, shooting the cars at speed. And the background looks really nice. And as you go, you'll kind of practice getting more and more fluid as you're panning. Works out well. But you can see I'm working Food City, Bass Pro Shops on RA. I'm always kind of looking at where there's the Bristol logo, Bristol Motor Speedway. And in all of this, the tracking never once comes off the car that I want. So here's a Skittles car. There's kind of nice frame. Food City 500. Okay, and anytime you want to, you can swing around and look at a person, and automatically it's going to go do IAF and face detection and all that stuff. It's just gonna rip for you. So you hit this guy, and then you can recompose instantly on the fly and whatever you want. And just, you know, just so you can see here, it's automatically doing IAF. You'll see in a second when it finds the high res. There it is. So you can go in really tight and see how sharp his eye is. But I'm not doing anything. Tracking is taking care of this. So it's really, really nice to be able to just be completely set free and know that your eyes are sharp when you have a person in the picture. It's easy. Really nice. This is a nice kind of group of pictures. I love watching pit stops. Those guys are just amazing. These guys are real athletes. And they are humping. And they're moving. And the stuff they're carrying is heavy. And it's pretty cool. And what I've done here is I'm tracking him. So you can see kind of what's going on. Now I'm tracking this guy. So I've picked him up. And anyway, you get the idea. So nice tight shot of the Napa car. Here are our new leaders. Here's some, as Robert Duvall says in Thunder, Days of Thunder, racing's rubbing and rubbing's racing. So you can see these guys are just literally pushing. I mean, you know, he's screwing up his own car as well as the other one. But doesn't help him. 22 stays in the lead. Here's another pit stop. Again, these guys are just awesome. They're every moment, every second, every split second is choreographed. If you look here, you can see the heat from the engine above all this. This car is hot. Everything about this car is hot. And you can see the heat waves coming off of it up there. It's kind of cool. So these guys are going to jump out of the way and run. This has always amazed me is when they do the fuel. You know, here's the fuel just literally falling. Like it's just flying through the air. Incredible. So dangerous. Okay, there's obviously a caution. So we're back out. And this Ryan Blaney's in the lead in the PPG car, number 12. So I'm still in the infield, and I'm watching them. This is where they take off, and you can see me working the logos, okay? They're still obviously under caution here. The pace car is probably to the left of 12, and but they're coming around and trying to do the stuff. Now they're underway. And I'm doing a little tilt of the action just because it's Bristol. You can get away with murder there with tilt. But that's a nice frame. Like Bush Beans, they've digged that, you know. And anyway, you can see what I'm up to. So ultimately, that's the last picture in the group that I selected to show you. But real-time tracking is awesome. And real-time tracking for auto racing, for MotoGP, for bicycle racing, I mean, it's just going to be great. And you can see even, you know, track and field. It's just a tremendous asset to have because you can just select the person you want or the car or the motorcycle, and it's just going to track the whiz out of it. It's so impressive. Okay, next we're going to look at tennis, high school tennis, which was actually the very first thing I shot when I updated my cameras to the 5.0 firmware. It's pretty cool. Worked without any issue at all, and so here we go with the tennis pictures. Just to take a look over here, I'm using the 400-28 G Master. I'm using that wide open. I'm at 3200th of a second for my shutter speed, and I'm at 200 ISO. Now that's going to change a little bit. I want to make sure you see this over here, AFC. When the cameras come out of the box, they usually come set to AFA, and then a lot of people use AFS. In order to make tracking work, you have to have AFC selected, which is autofocus continuous. So because you're going to be tracking moving subjects all the time, you've got to be in continuous autofocus in order to accomplish that. So here we go. So basically what's happening is tracking, I'm just hitting the player, and then the camera is doing the rest. So I'm going to touch down lightly I'm going to lock on him, and then I'm going to shoot when I want to. So as you can see, as we go through the images, it's very simple. Even when he is obscured by his arm and the racket and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. And you can see how sharp. It's so sharp. So it's really impressive to work with this. You don't always have to have the face straight at you. The A9's tracking, obviously, and eye and face detection are the best of any of the cameras, bar none. So A7III and A7R3 do a nice job, but they don't really hold a candle to what the A9 does. It's just so powerful and so fast. So this is not a mistake, actually. A lot of people struggle when they're trying to figure out what to buy. Do I buy the A7R3 and go for the big file, or do they get the A9? The A9 is a really misunderstood camera, but I guess the point I want to make with this picture is that the file at 24 megapixel is plenty big. Now this girl's like written something on her arm, and if we look in here a little closer, it's like her mother is reminding her to take the PSAT, and she's drawn a little picture of herself with the test. And then also, if you look closer, you can see that she probably fell asleep on her arm or something in class, because this thing is duplicated on her face. And anyway, when you can read doodles and stuff on someone's arm from this distance, it's a pretty good size file. So don't ever think that 24 megapixels is a small file. It's a plenty big file. So back to tennis, yeah, it just works great. And you can see here, this is a great example of tracking. Basically the tracking, I've identified this girl prior to this girl walking in front of me. I've said, hey, this is the one I want. And remember, it's using distance, it's using contrast, phase detect, autofocus, facial recognition, IAF, and then it's also keeping track of color and pattern. So it's doing all these things in the background. You may only see the square with the two lines on either side of it, but look at what it's able to do. I mean, here's a girl walking straight in front of me, and the camera is not even at all affected by this. And even when we go to the one where it's most blocked, I can zoom in here, and we can go up and look at the eyes, and yeah, the eyes are sharp. So pretty amazing. Again, it's just such a nice thing to be able to use the A9 for sports, 20 frames a second. You just get all these different looks. But remember that even if you don't see the box on the eye when you're doing tracking, it's still doing it in the background. So don't think that it's not working. It is. And here we go. Just zoom in on that frame. It's pretty cool. Doubles. One thing I would recommend is I'm sticking by my sort of initial thoughts about sports photography with real-time tracking. I believe that these flexible spot small is going to be the best option for virtually every sport. There may be something that comes up that it's not great for, but I think from what I've seen so far, 4 different sports, that's the one to use. Now, there's also another adjustment for autofocus sensitivity. And if you're shooting singles tennis, I would recommend 5. If you're shooting doubles tennis, I'd maybe drop it to 3 or maybe even 4. But even at 5, I'm set at 5, it's still able to discern the player I want in a picture like this, which is great. So just a couple tennis frames. This is a nice frame. The kid's off the ground a little bit. I mean, it's just got everything you want. And if you blow up nice and tight, it's tack sharp. I love this. Just that, that blow up from there to there. It's pretty phenomenal. Okay. So as you can see, tracking works really well. Again, I want to remind you that the racket is closer to the camera than her face is. So a DSLR would often be typical. It would kind of be typical for it to be on the racket. Because the autofocus on a DSLR is really sharp. It's really good. It's really fast. But it can't always discern between a person and a thing. And the A9 does that, and all the other cameras that do tracking, even the A6400 are going to do this as well. So yeah. Nice and tight. Even when the face is almost completely covered, it still works. If you can see, let's just blow this one up real quick, just so you can see that eye. I mean, her eye is really, really sharp. So it's a pleasure to use for tennis, really any sport. A9 just rocks. Now, I had a kid that was sitting next to me from the other team. He was like sitting in the bleachers, and I was standing next to him, and he was talking to me about photography, and he does stuff at his high school and whatever. And so when one match ended, I said to him, "Hey, would you like to try it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So I handed him my 428 A9, and I just explained to him, I said, just press down part way, make sure that the indicator is on the person you want, and he put it on this dude. And then he shot a volley, one volley, like 1 point. And I think there were 4 different hits. And then I went back and picked this picture. So this image was shot with real-time tracking, flexible spot small, by a high school kid that had never even touched a Sony camera, is not a sports photographer, had no prior preparation for this at all. So this is possible to be able to just make images like this. It's pretty sweet. All right, here we are with United Women's Soccer. This is in the rain, which I love. I love shooting soccer in the rain. I love shooting football in the rain. Anyway, here's a little heading picture. This is, once again, it's tracking AFC, and I'm in flexible spot small. So I could pick up number 16 and wait for the ball to come in the frame and fire. No problem there. There's the little header, and then she's going to open her eyes in the next frame to see where the ball goes. A little react as she hits the girl. Pretty cool. I'm using a 560 millimeter lens, so it's the 400 GM with a 1.4 converter on it. My ISO is 1000 at f4 and at 3200th of a second. So in manual, I always shoot manual, and I'm also shooting Adobe RGB because I'm not a RAW shooter. I shoot in JPEG. It makes this file smaller, and I can edit a lot quicker on deadline, stuff like that. So here we go. We're going to keep going here. So here's a nice frame. This girl's in control of the ball. Both feet are off the ground. The ball's off the ground. Her defender's kind of trying to catch up. And it's nice. The rain is so cool. 3200th of a second is stopping the rain really, really nicely, which I like. And off we go. Here's another picture of a girl kind of run down a ball that's been headed, and then she's going to kick it back to her buddy. And this is the beginning of a very nice, very long series of images, which I was really happy with. And as you try, tracking real-time tracking yourself, you're going to really enjoy a little series like this. So here's this girl in gray who's got control of the ball. She's being pursued by this girl in red, and off they go. And I love both feet off the ground. She's like all stretched out running. She's looking for where she's going to pass to, looking downfield, trying to figure it out. Now she's going to make her turn. She's running really fast. The ball's under control, and you can just see, and we'll just check focus here real quick because, this is at 20 frames per second. Yeah, we're like totally tack sharp, no problem. And off we go. And I love this. So she's just about to push off with her left toe. You can already see the little brown balls like starting to fly. And now she's off the ground totally, back down. She's about to push off again, right there, off the ground, both feet down, then push off, both feet still off. Excuse me. Man. And here they both go. So they're trying to, both get control. The girl behind is trying to catch up, trying to get in front, but she's still got control of the ball. She's still off the ground here. Very nice. Let's check focus again. Again, we're shooting at 20 frames per second. So you can see she's sharp. She's a little bit out, which is what you want. And the rain just looks so beautiful. Love it, man. Love it. And we're getting up there. still kind of, she blinked here. Her eyes are kind of partially open there, then they're all the way open. This is how fast the A9 is at 20 frames a second. You can actually get more than just a blink. You get sometimes the in-between pictures too. I'm almost cutting their heads off. That's my fault. But she looks great here. Coming back down and just flying. Again, nice. Both feet off the ground, flying ball. This girl's looking worried. We're kind of cranking in there. Now, pretty soon, I'm going to lose the ball. But I'm just going to stay on her. And remember, I picked her up way back and just hit her one time with a half press. And now I'm just, the camera is tracking her for me. So I'm doing nothing except just keeping her in the frame. And here's where the ball, she's going to kick the ball. The ball's now out of the frame completely. She's going to start decelerating, and that's it. So it's looking all the way across the field. A lot of times people get all uptight about the cost of the 400 GM, and I don't argue with anybody that $12,000 is a lot of money. You could buy a brand new Kia for that. But when you're shooting into a background like this with a chain link fence and two white cars, it's horrendous. And this is pretty nicely cleaned up. This looks pretty good. This player is really, really sharp, and I can read everything, or logos and everything. And the background's kind of calmed down. It's not so bad. So because it's blown out of focus by the long 400mm 2.8. So sometimes it's really worth it. And here's a little header and another getting the ball away from the goal. Here we go. A little series here. Again, this is complicated. This doesn't look great back here. But it's pretty out of focus. It's because of the lens we're using. And again, this is a 400 2.8 with a 1.4 converter on it. So 560mm f4. Okay, here we go. Another two of them going. Nice little kick there. Just kind of doing, again, when you shoot tight like this on a face, even when they have a helmet on, you'll see IAF working sometimes. It's pretty cool, even when you're in tracking. So it's nice to do that. Here's another header. Okay, so here we go. All right, so obviously we're checking focus and it's good. So we'll keep backing out. And if you watch her feet, she will have, that's the ideal, both feet off the ground. And then one down, and then she'll have, there's both feet off the ground, down, both feet off the ground, again, both feet off the ground. Can't use this one because she's one-legged, so watch that. But it's just awesome because, once she pushes off, both feet are off the ground, she's actually kicking the ball. She's still off the ground with both feet, and then down again, off, both feet off, and then we think down, and then both feet off. There she is, both feet off in a row. It's just awesome, And pretty soon what's going to happen is she's going to get so close. Let's check focus again. Just see that we're sharp, and we are. It was super sharp, and you can tell the defender is not sharp. So even if we stay close in, so now the defender's blinked. Our girl has not. She's got, looks like yellow bands on her braces. It's pretty cool how it just keeps rolling. So I'm going to zoom back out. You can see how each frame is tack sharp on the girl we want because the real-time tracking is working. And we're just going to kind of go. There's a nice frame right there. And another one that's pretty cool. But now the ball's getting cut. So now I'm going to lose the ball in a second, and I know it. I'm at almost 600 millimeters, so that's what happens. But I just stay with her anyway because it's just cool. And then she's going to kick. She's actually passing the ball to another teammate that's to her left. And there we go. So anyway, we're coming out. Little heading picture across the field. At great distances like this is all the way at the other end of the field. At great distances, this is the only time where you can have an issue with real-time tracking grabbing the wrong thing. Now, because there's plenty of contrast here, and there's nothing, if there's a bunch of people back there, it could happen, but I still find it's excellent. It really works well. So there's a little shot there. Again, very complicated. The autofocus system is so advanced it can tell the distance difference between our subject, which I wanted and which I'm tracking, and the practice goal. No problem. It doesn't get fooled. It just kind of works. Here's like players and stuff in the way. It doesn't matter. It's just going to work. And again, here in this situation, this is a great example of where, a typical Canon Nikon system is going to hit her elbow. If it's like it's going to go to this girl and this girl's not going to be sharp. So that's what's going to happen there. But with real-time tracking, I've got, because it knows the difference between color and pattern and shape and body type, and it knows she's got this thing on and it's got lighter hair versus darker hair. I mean, all the way around, even the swoosh, remember it does pattern. So it knows there's like an X on her shoe and there's a swoosh on that shoe, and these are red socks and these are blue shorts instead of black ones, and on and on and on. It knows all that stuff, so it's going to kind of keep it going. And there we go. Keep it free. Here's just a nice pickup and a pass to a teammate. Another pass. And again, you're free to kind of like do whatever you want to in terms of, composition. Doesn't matter. You can just, whatever. So there's soccer. Now we're going to go to my favorite sport, and we're going to end with looking at some football. And I think I made a separate folder for that, I think. No, I didn't. All right, here we go. All right, I know this is a long one, but sorry about that. Okay, so like in my other videos, this is like kind of cool. Quarterback releasing the ball off the ground, both feet off the ground, and then just releasing the ball. Love that. These are all shot with tracking, and it's very easy to use, and it works. It really does. It doesn't help them from not blinking, but hey, what are you going to do? So he's looking for a defender. Here's a guy that's going to come up for like a fake handoff. He's going to pass. Now the running back is right in front of the quarterback, and the camera's still tracking the quarterback. No problem. He goes by, no big deal, and he's looking downfield for a receiver, and he's still looking. Now here's a defender coming in. Now it's getting complicated. I can't even see the ball anymore. Now I can see the ball again. Now I've got an offensive lineman and a D-line guy that's coming to get him. And will he, even when I can't see his face, it's still keeping track of him. And because the ball's in the same plane, it's right there too, and even have eye there. So, yeah, it's really cool to shoot football with this. Now, in football, in the former system, I liked medium flexible spot, but you kind of almost have to use small flexible spot here. So again, here we go, small flexible spot. Guy's right in front of him. And that was an almost on the defender there. And he's going to look down for, here we go, in the middle of stuff again. Ask yourself, if you're shooting Canon Nikon, would your camera have stayed on him through this play? I kind of doubt it. Maybe. Yelling at stuff. This is Matt Simmons, by the way. He's a former Tennessee quarterback, so it's nice to see him out there, even though that's over. Again, both feet off the ground. That's the ideal. He's moving on through. Great eyes off the ground there. Looking for, here's the defender coming in. The defender's closer to me than he is, but the camera's staying on the running back. It's not losing track of what I'm wanting to do. Now, this is easy because it's a black uniform versus a white uniform. It's so simple. So that's very helpful. But even here, it's like, man. Now, here's a great example. By here, this would have been, I think in a Canon, I would have been focused here if I was doing autofocus. I don't think it would have stayed on him. But anyway, even with that, he's still there, still there, still there. And down he goes. Turning, twisting, whatever. Ball security there. That's kind of scary. All right, another running play. Here he goes in behind a bunch of defenders and O-line. You can see it's still sharp. That's his helmet right there. Still sharp. There's the ball right there. Now it's lost it. So it's not exactly foolproof, but I'm at 5. So I'm at like sensitivity is set to 5, the autofocus sensitivity. So maybe if I was at 4 or 3, it would have stayed on him. But look, it found him again. It figured it out. I don't know if it was his glove, because his gloves are kind of different. He's got those Alliance gloves on. Maybe it remembered that he had those gloves back here. You know what I mean? And then, so there's one frame where it misses. I actually kind of like that frame. And then it found the glove, I think. I think that's what happened. So it's still now focused back on him. He's about to emerge the other side. Boom. So real-time tracking is legit. It really is. It's a fantastic new. That's an interesting picture. He almost kicked the ball out of his hands. So here we go. Now he's going to go down, probably hard. Yeah, and I lost it there. So there's another. Here's Matt Sims throwing through a whole bunch of defenders. That's complicated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys all there, plus the background. So it's still working really well. Works great for kickers because you can see behind, and it keeps track of them as they move and fly through the air. I like that. Yep. So real-time tracking, football, it really works. For John. Yep, except it's over. What a bummer. I'd love to see this. This is a woman referee. I didn't really know they had them until I noticed her off on the side. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So here again, here's a kicker. This is a good example. This is a lot of, I'm on the wrong side of the ball, and tracking is keeping him sharp no matter what. This is his tongue sticking out now. It's kind of funny. And here is the ball. There's the ball. Now that's kind of a nice frame. This would be a nice frame cropped, you know, like something like this. That'd be all right. That's kind of cool. So anyway, onward. Still keeps him in sharp, and then he goes up to look and see the reaction. Even if it's just eyes, it's still got him. So it's just amazing to me to see the technology, the advanced artificial intelligence just working. It's still got the strap of his helmet, for God's sakes. It's still got it. Cool. Here's Matt Simmons again, from formerly of the Atlanta Alliance team. Here he goes. Fake handoff. There he goes. He's got his back to me. Now notice that his back to me, and it lost it. It's now over here. So again, I'm in 5, probably 3 or 4 would be better. And this is kind of weird. Once it got off, it couldn't reacquire very well. And this is me with my button down, and I'm not reacting fast enough. So I got to like lift off and then reacquire. And this is what I do here. So now I've got him again. So anyway, it's not foolproof, but this is like, you know, my first football game ever using real-time tracking. So I'll get better. Again, look at what that thing is doing. It's tack sharp on the guy that's behind the defender. Little face mask action. All right, good deal. And he's falling down, and I'm trying to track him down. I'm not quite there. That's kind of nice. Off the ground. That's the hike of the ball. There he is, hidden. Now he's coming out. Now he's going to throw. He's going to throw long. Nice. Right before he gets hit. Boom. Nice grimace there as he gets hit. Now these guys are going to jump up, and it's an interception. Too bad for Matt. Oh, well. So, yeah, it's working. Look at the hair. I think it's actually checking out, you know, it's doing patterns. So, like, it's got that funny hair. There it is. Now, here's a totally frame that's, like, completely, there's nothing focused, right? Actually, there is. Right there. That's his leg. I think that's behind his knee. That's all the camera can see right now. And now, there's the ball. I have no idea how it's accomplishing this, but it's there. So look at this. He's like there, and then there. And remember, this is on 5, so it's going to work better even if you're on 4 or 3. There's tight. So this is 560 millimeter f4. And what's really cool is when you're doing real-time tracking in football, every once in a while you'll see the little square pop up that is telling you that it's doing IAF. It's kind of neat. And even from the side, you'll see that sometimes. Nice. All right. Late. Boom. This guy is really cool. This guy used to be at Alabama. All right, so he's obscured. He's running back there. The camera's still tracking him through all that mess. How, I don't know. And there he is coming out the other side. He's trying to find a hole and gets hit. And he's still there. Okay. Pretty cool. All right. I think we're almost done here. I think I'll go this way. Notice how he's moving around. Oh, he's all over the frame. So I'm trying to track what he's doing, and he's in different parts of the frame, and the camera doesn't care. I like that. Even though he's running away from me, there's like no picture here, but it's kind of cool. All right, Matt Sims again, throws the ball, catches. Here we go. Hit. All right. Whoops. Ball security. It's right there. It's lost. So if that had been a big play of the game, I would have had it. Ball right off the tip of the foot. I love that. That's cool. All right. There's the referee. Doesn't matter. It tracks right through him. Throw. Another kick. Okay, look at this. So it's sharp on the kicker here. Now it's on either this guy or this guy. I think it's this guy. And it lost it. So again, the more distance you are away, it can sometimes lose it. But usually it doesn't. It's pretty cool. I like the single finger, the little index finger. That's kind of neat. You see all the skin scrunchy doing the scrunchy thing. Quarterback's arms and hands are really weird looking when they throw. It's kind of cool. Here's a little fight that broke out. I like that frame. Pretty nice. Crappy background, all that stuff, you know. This is... Okay, so here's a guy in pursuit, and you can see it's actually doing some IAF. It's pretty cool. Okay, here's the kicker. Here's the holder. Kicker's gone because his foot's right there. You can see his shoulder pads here. There's the ball. And he's almost there. He's kicking. There's his foot. Almost going to strike the ball. Pop. There's the ball. Ball's now hidden between these guys. There's the ball coming out the other side. Look at the holder's hands, still sharp. You can see the kicker's right there. Even though he's moved forward, he's still sharp. There's the kicker's hands as he's coming down from the kick. And finally, we have just 2 eyes of the React. Amazing that it can do that. All right, so I'm going to pull out of this, and we're going to sort of wrap this up now. First of all, thanks for hanging in for the video. I've been doing some longer videos than what are normally done on YouTube, but I keep getting feedback from people that they're liking them and that they're learning. So I'm going to keep doing whatever I think is appropriate for the subject matter. But to kind of review everything, number one, your camera must be set to AFC in order for tracking to work at all. So make sure if you're having trouble and you're not getting the results you want in tracking, or you don't see tracking, if you don't see tracking, you're not in tracking. So make sure that you kind of look at that very carefully. Secondly, my best possible advice to you is to use flexible spot small. It is going to be the one I think that's going to give you the best bang for the buck. Shooting sports photography or anything where you're just your, if you're shooting a dog running or doing wildlife and birds in flight, stuff like that, I think that's going to be the best thing, because you're going to be able to pick one thing out of a group of things and nail it and then track it and then shoot all you want. The final thing is there are lots and lots of different settings there's 5 different levels of autofocus sensitivity, and depending on the sport that you are using, I would recommend that you experiment. There is no rule of thumb for anything, so especially in sports. Even if you talk about a certain sport like football, well, Pee-wee football is going to be different than high school football, is going to be very different from college football, and then the extreme is pro football. So all these things are going to have, the higher you go as you climb up that ladder towards professional, athletes, things get quicker, faster all the time. So be kind of aware of that. But as always, use the highest shutter speed you can. Get the fastest lens you can afford. Use it always wide open. Don't ever close a lens down. There's no point to that in sports photography. And just have fun out there. But I really, again, appreciate you watching this video. If you found value in it, like I said in the beginning, please subscribe, because I can only continue to do these if I'm gaining subscribers and all that kind of stuff. I want to help, but I need you to kind of make sure you do your part too. Thanks so much. I'm Sony artisan Patrick Murphy Racy. Thanks again for your patience, and I hope you picked up some things.